Butoh for me is ritual and it's therapy. Uh, in a ritual sense, what you prepare the body to get ready for the dance, and also the stripping away of your ego and identity as a human, so that you can transform into anything, really. Um, the shaving of the head, the painting the body white. This is all ritual part of Butoh. And then in the therapy sense, it allows the performer to go deeper into themselves, to find what's there, their own body memory. It doesn't rely on techniques as any other dance form, jazz or modern or ballet. But the technique is finding your own body and how it expresses itself instead of a pre-designed form of movement. And that can be a scary journey sometimes for some dancers. It's important to have an international Butoh festival because some people only see one variation of Butoh, but Butoh is very unique to each performer. When I first came to Thailand, most of the Thai artists only knew of one Butoh master, and that was Katsura Khan. And I was trying to explain to them, well, oh no, there's many different styles. And also that Butoh originated in Japan, but has moved out throughout the world and inspired other people. So it's good to see the cross-cultural differences of other people's interpretation of their Butoh. The first time I saw Butoh, I wasn't really sure what I was seeing. Was I seeing dance? Was I seeing sculpture? I wasn't really sure. But it touched me somewhere. That went beyond what I actually saw. It reached a deep place in me that made me question my own validity. And in a sense it was transformative. Going back to the idea of Butoh as therapy, it seems to have that sense about it, that it's not actually what you see happening, but how it makes you feel or touches you. People will be watching and then all of a sudden they'll start to cry and they don't know why. But it touches a memory in the performer as well as a body memory in the viewer or the audience. What people have to understand about Butoh is it not like any other form of dance. Although it is a dance form, but it is much more unique in the sense that you dance with the entire body. A lot of facial, where in, say, musical comedy, you have that smile. Butoh tends to mutate the face and this kind of transformation that goes along with the body. And some of the exercises start with the face, and once you start with the face, it translates into the body. But finding a movement that translates from your own body, your own DNA, calling up your own DNA, your own body memory, to produce a unique unique form of movement instead of a technique. There are techniques to achieve that, but it's not like, oh, step ball change, move here, 8 counts there, 4 counts. It's like, okay, fall down for 10 minutes, or stand up for 10 minutes, or take 10 minutes to stand up. It's finding how your body reacts to its own environment, and its external environment, and its internal environment. In the 30 years that I've been doing Butoh, I find it often drifts into my own lifestyle. Everything becomes Butoh. When you study with some masters, the Tamanos for instance, you go and you stay with the master and you clean toilets, you make beds, you do laundry, you cook food. This is all part of your existence. This is part of your physical definition, how you define yourself, how do you do the normal things. On Min Tanaka's farm, students will often go out and work in the fields. This is how we sustain our life. It's taking everyday experiences and then making note of them and amplifying them into performance. So the 30 years I've been doing Butoh, I find it creeps up. Oh, this is Butoh. and this is not Butoh. Seems like I was doing Butoh before I knew what Butoh was, but I didn't call it Butoh. As Mashamuri describes it as poetic, physical poets. And that's kind of the realm where I was working when I first encountered Butoh, illustrating poetry, basically. My Butoh inspiration comes from various things generally that I have a strong feeling about. Some of it comes from nature, the natural world, being the wind or being the blood flow, or being upset about something and wanting to say something, but words aren't enough. So expressing something that's generally deep inside me without screaming. Butoh generally is characterized as slow movement, but it's not always slow movement. Some can go from slow to rapid movement, but it's allowing time for a certain image to grow. Some of the exercises that we do with the Tamanos, transforming from a monk to a monkey, but taking time to do that. For instance, going from something, say, bitter to sweet with your face. The bitter to sweet, but you have to allow time for your body to get there, to make that transformation. What is more interesting is what happens not from A to B, but what happens in between A and B. And that's where the interest comes in. That's what makes it interesting. And that's where we find what's happening in the performance. As Tatsumi Hijikata was searching for movement that had no meaning, which is virtually impossible because we attach meaning to everything we see, everything we smell, taste, touch. It's just human nature. I've learned that not everybody likes Butoh and not everyone appreciates it. And some see it as a self-indulgent art form, which for me, if you can't indulge yourself in your art, where can you indulge yourself? So it's I've learned to indulge myself in my own practice. So my advice to Butoh dancers is to experience the work of different teachers, and then take what you can from those teachers and formulate your own style. That's what I had done working with several masters. I take bits and pieces from what I like here, and then some from here, and borrow some from here, and then try to find my own style. So I think it's important to get many different angles to round out your experience. But yeah, my advice was to stick with it if you can. The challenge of working with dancers and choreographers, they each have their separate needs. Some of the choreographers now they're getting older and they have various health problems and medical things that they need to take care of. And some just have some idiosyncrasies that aren't, you just kind of have to live with and have to give them room to express themselves. And the biggest challenge working with dancers, especially on an international level, is taking care of the dancers, especially when they're coming for a festival. Have to have a place for them to sleep and food for them to eat, and make sure they get to where they need to be when they need to be there, and don't get lost or apprehended. They have a certain amount of time they want to rehearse, or they don't want to rehearse at all, or they decide to change the choreography at the last minute before you go on stage. All sorts of things can happen. You just have to be open and go with the flow. My advice to festival organizers is it takes a lot of energy, and when the festival is going on for me, I don't get much sleep, and trying to take care of everyone and make sure the bills get paid, and from the technicians, the box office people, the stage hands. It takes a lot of time and energy, and a lot of hard work. So my advice is make sure you have a plan B, a plan C, and possibly a plan D.